Day, brand new week, starting in 2024, but ending in 2024 as well. And we're starting 2025 in just a couple of hours, a little over 24 hours, nearly 48 hours. Good morning and welcome to your perfect morning starter right here on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka, and indeed, Jeffrey, it's a time of stock taking.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yes, less than 365 days we started off the new year, and we were all making resolutions about how we wanted our lives to be in the new year 2024. Now,
the new year is almost over.
Old year, and just how much have we achieved in those years? And indeed, the last couple of weeks, you also compel good reason for stock taking. How, what seems to be an ill wind has blown in Nigeria with the stampedes, picking back to earlier in the year, record inflation on the back of, increase in the pump price of petrol, and of course, a difficulty, for the class of Nigerian workers on the lower rung of the ladder with incomes depleting, but still that resilient spirit has not died. Nigerians are trudging on and even, achieving more regardless. Also, for government, it's a time for stock taking as well. And, suffice it to say that it's been a year, worth all of the struggles, because there is hope for more to come. And Jeffrey, I lost some pounds. I'm surprising you also towards the end of the year. Recall you thought that I was not going to lose weight at the beginning of the year.
I haven't noticed. Which way to do?
We're going to do that. You're going to go back and look at the videos at the start of the year, and you see that I've lost some pounds. So
Okay. That's an assignment. After the show, I'm going to go check it out, whether you really lost some pounds or not.
I lost some pounds, yes.
But if you say so, I agree with you totally. You're the one that watch your weight. I haven't seen so much of losing, if you ask me. But it's not as if you look bad. But if you choose to lose some pounds, fantastic. It's a great one. Apparently, this is what you want.
But that was not one of your goals. I would have, done an assessment of you.
No, I need to add more pounds. A little bit more pounds. I don't even like too much. But I was coming and I heard that former U.S. President Jimmy Carter is dead at the age of 100. We can remember Jimmy Carter for many things.
Many reasons.
Many reasons.
The Camp David Accords.
There are so many reasons we can remember him. Economic issues, political issues, especially. I remember I was watching him, and I think, as at that time, I didn't know he had passed. His interview with the late Larry King, when Larry King was asking him what would be the legacy that he would like to be remembered for. And he wanted to be remembered for the fact that he did not bomb any country. He did not, he advocated for peace and all of that. So sometimes a mixed legacy when these guys die, some of them when they die because of the role they played in global politics and domestic politics in America. Also, that very sad incident of the plane crash in South Korea, where out of 181 persons, 179 died. I was watching, this plane was already landing. I understand that the landing gear refused to come out or did not come out. So skidded up the road, the runway, and the barricade blocked it. And it was just, it's not something to watch. But our thoughts and our prayers with everyone, including everyone who has passed on in Nigeria, given what you mentioned, the issue of the stampede and all of that. So we have to be safe out there.
The plane that encountered some form of inhibition as it flew, above the Kazakhstan airways, for which, Russia has apologized, but not particularly taken responsibility. Although we have some survivors from that crash, but we understand that about 30 people also died, or 30 plus people also died from that plane crash. It appears as if in the month of December, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. And we commiserate with all those who may have lost loved ones all over the world in those plane crashes. And we hope that, they have strength, to bear this loss and move on in the new year, however difficult it may seem.
All right, so what exactly are we doing today? Bukola, you've mentioned it. The reality is still stuck on our faces. The economy is still not smiling. The numbers are still not looking good. But let's see what 2025 holds. But we can tell you that one of the places we'll head to this morning is the southeast the region, they call it the industrial zone, or the industrial zone, if you will. Very industrious set of people. But this sit-at-home issue, pushed and propagated and advanced by IPOP, proscribed IPOP, has really done, in the words of people on the street, dirty to the economy of that area. So in terms of security, we're going to look at sit-at-home from two perspectives: the security implication and how it affects mobility in that region, as well as the economic impact of making sure that people sit at home even when they are not willing to. We'll talk about that.
And Jeffrey, that's the most important aspect of, the sit-at-home order that has gone on in the last 2 years plus. It is important for those who are also responsible for sponsoring this obnoxious sit-at-home to also reflect on how much it is costing the Southeast in terms of Nigerian naira and dollars. This is a region that is most known for its industry. So, of course, that's an important conversation as well. Talking about moving on and celebrating the wins of Nigerians despite the difficulty of the year, we'll also be looking at those entrepreneurs who have recorded successes regardless of the odds. Speaking of which, we'll be looking at the hair industry in the country and celebrating a Nigerian who is investing in that field and, of course, recording some success stories.
Apparently, okay, of course, we celebrate women every Monday. Yes, that's our new order. Now, every Monday we check out the ladies that are shattering the glass ceiling or doing some big things within their small spaces, or bring them right here on the program to celebrate them. We also will sit down with a gentleman called Vibemaster JD. They call him the talent-based Boston Nigerian DJ, our talented Boston Nigerian-based DJ. He advances Afro-pop, Afro-beats in Faro America. Of course, Afrobeat has gone all over the place, but there are those who are holding the fort when our performers are not present or you're not streaming online, going to the club to make sure that Nigerian music and African music is played at those clubs. Will be joining us right here on the program.
I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Promises to be an exciting conversation. So that's not all. Of course, you know that you are also part of the show and we'll love to review your thoughts. So we want you to start, of course, writing to us from now. We'll be reviewing your thoughts after this break when we have taken the top stories on the morning brief on Channels Television. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
And top on the brief this morning is a report that President Bola Tinubu is set to announce his ambassadors within the next few weeks. This was contained and confirmed in a statement by a special advisor on foreign affairs and protocol, Ademola Oshodi, on Channels Television's 2024 Year in Review program. Ms. Oshodi says the president has been busy putting things in place for the envoys to be appointed and sent to foreign soil, and steps will be taken by the Senate to put them in place in their various missions around the world.
And from there, we move on to the economy. The African Development Bank is set to start releasing a $2.2 billion fund for the development of special agro-industrial processing zones in Nigeria. The Director General of AFDB's Nigeria office, Abdul Kamara, while speaking during Channels Television's 2024 end-of-year review program, says the money would be used for the development of agro-industrial hubs where processing will happen, aggregation centers, and agricultural transformation programs.
And on the international scene, a Jeju airplane flying from Bangkok to South Korea with 181 passengers crashed on landing with 179 on board feared dead. A video showed the plane skidding along the Muan Airport runway with the smoke trailing out until it hit a wall at the end of the runway and burst into flames. There were a total of 175 passengers, 6 crew members on board, and rescue workers have plucked out 2 survivors from that particular wreckage.
And to sports news now, Liverpool moved a step closer to a record-equaling 20th English top flight title as a 5-0 thrashing of West Ham opened an 8-point lead at the top of the Premier League. Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, Mohamed Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Diogo Jota were on target for the rampant Reds in East London as they ended the year as huge favourites to the win.
And on the entertainment scene, Funke Akindele's newly released movie, Everybody Loves Jennifer, and Alakada, Bad and Bougie pushed Nigerian cinemas to record ticket sales of over 1 billion naira in 1 week. According to Now Media Entertainment Group data, tickets worth 1.02 billion were sold between December the 20th and 26th, 2024, a record high for Nigerian cinemas. Okay, I like that particular part as well. I haven't got to see any movies this Yuletide, busy with work, but as soon as we have all the time, we're going to go see those movies. I have only one problem, Bukola. Don't force those popcorn on me, man. I don't have to eat popcorn when I go to the cinemas. I just want to drink water. Some of us don't want to eat all those things, but somehow they incorporate it into your ticket, and you have to get the popcorn and the drink and all of that. Hey, congratulations.
You have to help, the entire value chain, not just the thespians who are making money from, your effort of patriotism, but also those who make it a memorable occasion as well.
Do not force
so maybe we'll advocate for those selling popcorn to also make our song.
That's all I'm saying.
Jeffrey loves his song, by the way.
Yeah, if you do our song, I'll pay 10,000. I guarantee you, I won't even complain. Our song is magic, so maybe, yeah, that's a good option. Why are we doing popcorn in a Nigerian cinema?
Instead of our song, or even suya, Jeffrey.
Why are we doing popcorn in a Nigerian cinema? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Come on,
Food for
domesticate this thing. Put the real Nigerian things in those cinemas. Popcorn is not our culture. Or give us akara or something.
So give us asu from goat's meat or suya from goat's meat as well.
All right.
Okay. So what are you saying about some of the big stories? Of course, the one that made the rounds in the media, online and traditional media over the weekend was the broadcast by a Lagos lawyer, Dele Farotimi, amid his woes over the trial, the pending trial for defamation. So he had quite a lot to say. But of course, he also, put the record straight that he was not going to be speaking to the substance of the matter as it is sub judice. He made that clear, but he addressed some very thorny issues bordering on freedom of Nigerians in the civic space. So what are your thoughts? Let's review them. Jeffrey?
Yes, Jidena Charles says, I cried so hard watching this video because he actually broke down thanking Nigerians for coming through for him despite it wasn't about ethnicity, tribalism. So that was his position and he broke down in tears. So this person is responding. For more united and prosperous Nigeria, we need each other. Dele Farotimi survived Nigeria today. What about Olumide, Chinedu and Mustafa? Now is the time. So he was saying because of Nigerians, Nigeria did not happen to him. And for context, for those who don't know what that means, is the bad side of things going against you via our institution. So that is what he's talking about. And
it's instructive, Jeffrey, that he didn't break down as a result of his ordeal, in prison. But according to him, he's moved to tears. Or what we see, rather, is because, of the institutions that have broken down. It's because of the psyche of the average Nigerian that has been taken advantage of by the politicians, who have divided us along ethnic lines. And it was hard to query his sense of patriotism, to see him become emotional because of the Nigerian state. And it's cause for reflection for every one of us to ask ourselves, to what extent do we love Nigeria? So who's the next user this morning? Honey Out of the Rock.
Out of the Rock.
Honey Out of the Rock, yes, says he's a great person with great character. He shall definitely dwell in safety.
Richmond says a very powerful message has been passed, and that regardless of religion, tribe, color, race, or whatever you think, humanity should come first. Let's all see ourselves as same human and fight for a cause to make this country work again.
And Emirati is the next user who says he was so emotional, never happened to him. Nigeria really a cry for one's patriot is a cry for over 250 million vulnerable Nigerians. Peace and love, Uncle Dele.
Okay, so let's move on to other ones. That has to do with, we understand the customs actually sees some PMS, and they'll be auctioning it at 400 naira per liter. That's good.
Well, Jeffrey, maybe we should just put out word ahead of time that this shouldn't be another recipe for a stampede.
If you cannot manage this, this is like danger lurking around. This is highly inflammable. So if the customs can't manage this, I don't know how they're going to do it. Please, just whatever you want to do with it. People have died enough in this December. But let's read what your thoughts are. Our council says Nigeria should be very transparent, should be a transparent country. In Uganda, this is infamous.
Oh, that's not quite clear, but let's move on to the next user who says, who's heir to Africa. And they say, I hope this will be done properly and will be organized so that my people will not end up dying, just like what happened with the rice stampede in multiple states. God will protect everyone who will be going to get it and make it smooth. Again, Nigeria Customs Service, we urge you to make this process as organized as possible. Perhaps, maybe a raffle should be done to determine the eligibility of those who would qualify to purchase this petrol at 400 naira per liter. But because this, brings to memory what has happened in the recent past. Yes. All right,
Fapesti Elon Musk, that's what you call yourself. If you can sell seized fuel at 400 naira, why didn't they just ask the president to bring down the fuel price to 400 naira per liter of Oshofri de Pojbele?
That's another way of saying that free things can lead to challenges, can hurt. Yeah.
All right, Bukola, you have the next one.
Johnson is the next user. Johnson says, sell the rice you seize to the public at 40k per bag and not this fuel.
Okay, this will understand the Lagos State government mandates permits for amplified sound in nightclubs and worship centers. So I understand where this is coming from sometimes. So sometimes you use certain policies to control other things. So maybe perhaps to control noise pollution, I guess this is the idea behind, if you want to blow it out like that, then you need permit. I guess the government wants to control noise pollution. That's my understanding. Jack Anchor says mandatory, but the problem is not it's not enforceable. Remember that particular church, are they going to have maybe an exemption? You see other countries enforce this without sentiment, and it's good for both society and health, but politics won't allow us.
Well, I guess the problem is less of the permits, but more about poor town planning. Because if you go to a number of communities, particularly in Lagos, you would already see that in residential areas, there are mosques situated close to houses, there are churches situated close to houses, there are schools within the same facility. So you cannot prevent the interference or the noise pollution, so to speak, that occurs for people who would rather rest. So it can really get noisy.
Yeah, it can really. I remember when I was in university, we had this place they call the Parliamentary Building. So a lot of worship centers, worship fellowships. So it's got so bad that sometimes you're speaking in this particular hall and the signal is coming out in another gathering speaker. It was that messy. Okay.
Jeffrey, and it goes back to the conversation on local government administration and the
that is actually local government.
It speaks to the lack of efficacy, of local governments.
All right, this is from Omokodie. Is it Omokodie?
Omokodie.
Okay. It's not your regular Nigerian. This is a very lame way to control noise pollution. Once an entity gets a permit, will it not mean they can make any amount of noise for the duration of the permit?
Well, a lot to think about there beyond the humor. Okay, so
that's funny.
And Narrow Scope says, well, this regulation is necessary, I believe you meant to say, for these organizations to set their priorities right, because Nigeria is a diverse nation and everyone has to respect the law of the land.
Omoloda says, needed. Soundproof it or keep it quiet, most especially for open air joints. They make the most noise. Well, I have the next one.
Let's go to the next talking point, which is the Nigeria Communications Commission dismisses rumors that calls and data tariff will be increased by January 2025. And I'm wondering what the need for this dismissal is. Because if you check your data usage, I'm sure you're spending more and you're wondering, where does the data go? Even sometimes when you make huge, you have made huge subscriptions of 120 gig and you think that will go on and last you for the month. And before you know it, it's all gone. But hey, let's take your thoughts and hear what you think. Shahibu Sam says, as far as they have come out to dismiss it, it's true. We know our country. Any dismissed rumor is meant to calm the people down, and they will implement it underground. Now,
the trust quotient is very low.
Very low, Jeffrey.
Nedu Brave said they are the ones who said it in the first place. So coming back to call it rumor is a big red flag between anything that's debunked in Nigeria is true. So they call it flying the kites.
And you know, Jeffrey, recall we had a conversation with one of the executives of the representatives of the Telecommunications Association somewhere down in the middle of the year, and we were made to understand that, look, the operating environment is stifling, and they cannot continue to guarantee efficient service, amid the environment. So the NCC should be looking into that space beyond dismissing rumors of what is almost obvious. Jeffrey.
Okay, so Nigerian businessman arrested at Abuja airport for ingesting 74 wraps of heroin and cocaine. I don't know, people just endanger themselves, and that's the NDLEA arresting. So Uzoma says, is it Uzoma now? I want to be sure of the person. I'm reading just one on this. Bimbo Brannett says, from Lagos to Kano to Abuja, constant customers. My advice to the ones doing legitimate business is, please don't let them intimidate,
he meant to say.
I guess every day for the thief and one day for the honor. All right, so those are the ones we're tracking for you right now as far as the 30th of December, one day to go in 2024 is concerned. Keep your thoughts coming in. How's your year been? But we'll get to the nitty-gritty of our first conversation. We're heading southeast. For about 2 years plus, people have been forced to stay back at home, despite calls by Nnamdi Kanu and the rest of them saying, well, I'm not supporting this. The government in those regions seem not to be able to know what to do on how to manage this. They've made attempts, but it doesn't seem to be working as effectively as it should. The federal government seems to not to know what to do as well. But we'll explore that conversation. First on the security end, and then we'll get to the economic end. Join us again.
Welcome back. So we ask this morning, who is opposed to the prosperity, security, and stability of the Southeast, particularly the Southeast economy? What has it got to do with the trial of the IPOB leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? And how is it affecting the generality of the well-being of Southeast citizens? We look at the security aspect and the economic implications of this 2-year-long plus, I believe, Southeast sit-at-home order. Joining us to have this conversation this morning is Mr. Ugochukwu Ifeanyi. He's a Director, Media and Communications, Dozie Group, who joins us virtually from Nnewi in Anambra State. We also have Mr. Ijom Eziaso, who is a business, trade and policy analyst, who also joins us from Anambra, and Nnewi Importers Association, who also joins us from Anambra. Good morning, and thank you for joining us, gentlemen, on the program.
And maybe just before we head to the economic end, you can see most of the gentlemen which just spoke or mentioned their name, they are the business people in Anambra State. But we talked about two-pronged approach, Bukola. I think let's begin with that approach of security. We're being joined in the program to explore the security implications first by Mr. Mike Ejiofor, who is an ex-DSS director and security consultant. Also joining us, Omien Roy Okidevia is the CEO of August Eye and Security Experts. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
All right. Let me start with you, Mr. Ejiofor. If you can hear me, we've seen this. This is 30th of December, or December the 30th. The conversation is still on the table. I remember very vividly that governors of Anambra, that is Chukwuma Soludo, governors of Enugu, Peter Mba, and a couple of other governors had made some attempt to see how they can use state authority to say, look, guys, come out on Monday, do your work. Go to do your business. We are an industrious people. We are not used to this. Get on. And, well, with all the things they did in terms of just state presence, it doesn't look like there's some level of improvement in terms of people complying with the directive of the state government. There are even sanctions that are being proposed. So how would you interpret this age-long problem of this sit-at-home order from the security perspective? All right, let me come to you, Mr. Roy. You can take the question. I wanted Mr. Ejiofor to weigh in first.
Okay, yes, it's understood because he's a senior colleague. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me say this, that the age-long crisis and criminality going on in the East is it's something that could be overcome. But unfortunately, it has been allowed to wither for a long time without the proper intervention of the academicians and the intelligentsia. Now, in a desire to have your wishes come to pass, like taking over and having separated from the country where you are, which is their grouse, I think that there is supposed to be a carrot and stick approach, where you can also show that we have hoodlums if you think we cannot go violent. But the discussion should have been on the platform of the academicians and the intelligentsia. The East have a lot of blessed citizens and children that are in the diaspora. They are connected with international communities and highly placed in critical positions in great countries of the world. These kind of people supposed to have come together to also start a discussion with whatever government is in Nigeria under the United Nations, the ECOWAS, and whatever platform, local and international, and start a discussion. Because when you allow hoodlums and miscreants to take the lead in a succession plan, even if the country is given Biafra, that means it is same people that will be holding critical positions, and there will be anarchy and crisis in continuum.
So, Mr. Roy, some would say that much more than the challenge of the sit-at-home order, that it is also the approach of government in managing the situation. I recall, one of the Southeast lawmakers speaking on our sister program, saying for almost every mile, there is a checkpoint, of army officials, and this is a seeming militarization of the Southeast, which was not what obtained in the first place, and somewhat this affects the psyche of the people. I'd like you to speak to this, and if this is a right approach to tackling the challenge of, unknown gunmen in the Southeast.
Well, thank you for that question. You see, there is no time that I have encouraged militarizing policing. Policing is a soft touch to the nerves of vulnerability of every society, and to see how to put corrective measures. And corrective measures must be geared towards using the criminal justice system. But if you want to talk about the East, I want to assure you that there is two wrongs are making no right now. The federal government in itself that we talk about, there are people from the East that have held staunch positions in federal government of this country for the past 30 years. There are Senate presidents that have been from the East. There are key people that presidents communicate with. And they are from the East also. There are key people in positions in security agencies that are also from the East. So I used to wonder why we don't use those interplay to begin to mellow down on the militarization of policing in our Eastern region. Now, let's come together to the checking points. I have never ever supported where you use military at checking points. They become vulnerable because for a military team to be tacit and secured, they need to have the different lines of defense, from the battalions to the brigade to the whole gamut of the units. Now, when you just put 5 or 6 soldiers on the road, you're already making them vulnerable. And that is what we have been seeing, where checking points are routed and the soldiers are killed. Now, let's come back to why do we need checking points? It is acclaimed that there is insecurity in the East. Now, the insecurity in the East that we are talking about is created by the disagreement and disgruntlement as perceived, but it is initiated by the people of the East against the people of the East, because the federal government is in Abuja. So I think they need to revisit some of these things.
All right, Mr. Roy, I want to read a provision of the Constitution because we're trying to look for a solution now. We've talked a lot about the problem, and I want to posit this and see what your intervention will be, how this relates to security. This Constitution, Section 14, subsection 4, says the composition of the government of a state, a local council, or any agencies of such government or council, or the conduct of the affairs of the government or council of such agency shall be carried out in such a manner as to recognize the diversity of the people within its area of authority and the need, this is my point, and the need to promote a sense of belonging and loyalty among all the people of the Federation. The key word they use to advance their cause is the fact that they feel marginalized, even in representation in government, whether it's the Buhari government and the now Bola Tinubu's government. For instance, the whole of this, the Constitution says a minister from each state of the Federation. That's the minimum that must be. The Southeast has 5 ministers. Ogun State, for instance, alone has about 4 ministers. So when they compare some of this, so if you look at the hierarchy, the president, the vice president, the Senate president, the speaker, and all of so they look at all of these elements. This is where some of them are coming from. In terms of representation, let's speak to representation and how we can use representation maybe as a soft tool to quell these frayed nerves. Does it make sense to begin to look in that direction? What do you think from a security man's point of view?
Okay. I want to disagree kindly. Now, let's look at it this way. When we talk about representation in Nigeria, we should not forget that our political system has created the godfatherism syndrome, where everybody wants to have stooges in everywhere so that they become a voice in every political party and be able to dictate what happens in certain areas in this country, no matter whether they are holding key positions or not. Now, let's come back from there and use Anambra State as an example. When the governor came on board in Anambra State, he called together a lot of people that had experience, that they have wherewithal, and their names have gone viral, both local and global. He called them together to start to do a transition committee to help to put in some kind of relationship with the issues that Anambra State is facing. Now, if the federal government is coming on board and APC is hoping to become the president, let's go before in this new government now, there must have been discussions, sir. Discussions must have taken place in local government settings, in communities, in high-profile settings, in diaspora settings, and people have contributed money after the discussions seem agreeable, and they contributed money to the APC and everything. People contributed votes. People contributed their wherewithal, their might, and everything to make sure this government gets into power. People from the East. Now, when that discussion is going on, what were you exchanging? Were you agreeing to see that some of the compromises in selection, placement, and the marginalization that is going on is addressed? Did you discuss to say we want certain issues sorted out? We need a committee put together, either under the Senate or the House of Rep, to begin to look. We want our local government chairmen to be called together to agree to submit names of relevant and reasonable people, children, citizens of the East, to represent us in the national and global discourse. We want a discussion on our being mismanaged and marginalized. Then you will have that in place, and you are coming in to support a government that came into power. So we won't say there was no vote from the East. We won't say there is no caliber of people that spoke for the East. Did they address this marginalization? What was agreed? Did they have an agreement to have a consensus to start a discussion that will come up with resolutions and possible solutions? If they did, I have not seen it in any platform.
So let's look at the efforts at tackling the security challenge in the southeast and the outcomes. Time and again, IPOB, particularly in the last year, has come out to say we are not responsible for the Monday sit-at-home order in the southeast, even though, of course, we know that the initial order from picking back to 2022 was from IPOB. And we recall the events ahead of the general election when the police made some arrests. So the inability of the police now and other security agents to reconcile or to uncover the identities of those behind the order, isn't it a failure of intelligence that the identities of those responsible somewhat remains a mystery at this time?
Okay, now let's look at the handicapcy of our criminal justice system. Then we'll look at the possibilities to compromise many majority of Nigerians. Now, if you place me as a key player in IPOB, definitely I will have a price, and if I'm working with the federal government, most of my activities will be to look for the price of your compromise. And before you know, I started to see the IPOB saying we are not the militant arm, and I started to see some of the militant arm coming out to say we are only loyal to EPA. And some people will say we want Nnamdi Kanu out. So who are we talking to? So the government has the initiative to look for the price tag of every loyal IPOB personnel and begin to bring in disparity. But I think that effort would have been best utilized to look at how to align with the disgruntlement and begin to discuss it fairly and sincerely. But what we have now is a situation where the police themselves, they are handicapped. The DSS, they are handicapped. Because when you arrest people with your intelligence, madam, there is intelligence. I want to assure you that it does not take me or any other intelligentsia to harvest intelligence in Nigeria is very easy. You can penetrate the place, the communities, even the den of the criminals. They buy drugs, they buy food, they are supplied everything that they need. They have women brought to them also in the bushes. We have seen Boko Haram women arrested also saying they go to serve ladies to the terrorists in the bush. So same thing with the East. So there are very many lines of penetration to generate intelligence, to route them, to arrest them. After you arrest them, you interrogate, you interview, you gather more intelligence from them by evidence and confession statements. What next? Because before you know, they are now mentioning the name of the security officer that had them. I have friends in the intelligence. I'm a retired military personnel from Special Forces, and people call the security officer, DSS, police, they are all my friends, to say, I am out. And I told you that I will be out. So where are we going from there?
So, Mr. Roy, let's backtrack a bit because we're looking for resolution and solution. We can separate the criminals and people that have taken advantage of perhaps what could have been a good cause for representation and all of that. But in your view, what is the core problem? Because we need to define the problem. I see that sometimes in trying to talk about this issue of IPOB and sit at home, we may be all over the place. But what is the key driver, or what are the key drivers here? And how do we start addressing them one after the other? I had mentioned the issue of people feeling marginalized, which is, there's merit in that argument as far as they are concerned. So what are the key drivers, and how do we start addressing these things at the end of the day? Because this cannot continue in perpetuity.
Okay. Now, I am currently the National Secretary for Retired Members of Nigerian Armed Forces. And that veteran community has people from the East, okay? And we have had a series of discussions about the criminal activities going on. Let me start from here. Nigeria needs people of value, citizens of value, to come into play in areas of our backwardness and vulnerabilities. Now, if we need people of value, we should go after people of value for them to impute their valuable content in the problems that we face in Nigeria. So if those people are from the East, from the West, from the North, wherever, it shouldn't matter, okay? It shouldn't matter. And that's why I was saying that the quota system is not aligning with our current disparity, with progress and the economies of faith. Now, if we look at the doctors, the nurses, the manufacturers, the inventions, and everything that we can harvest from the East, why not give them an opportunity? You know, so if you say you are a political head in the country and one young man created a drone or a transformer from Anambra or from Enugu, the government should back him up immediately before the international community takes him out, and the government should see that that idea is harvested, is procuring results by putting him under technical and professional production systems. You know, but we have that challenge. That's going back to what I told you earlier, that the political system we run, it's an aggressive one. It's not one that goes after intelligence and production. So we have this challenge, and we need to sort it out by looking for Nigerians with value, giving them an opportunity to impute that value in our current vulnerabilities.
So now let's look at the current intervention on ground put together by both the federal government and the state governments. You talked earlier about, the vulnerability of the checkpoints where, soldiers are the ones mounting it and how they're exposed to attack. Let's also look at the efforts of state governments, going around for confidence building, admonishing the traders to come out on Mondays. But still, we see that the sit-at-home order subsists, it suffices. It shows that perhaps, there is a lack of confidence in the security intervention provided by the subnationals in that region. So why do you think the business traders do not have confidence in the interventions that the state governments provide? And, in the alternative, what can be done, to boost confidence in the traders such that they can come out, on Mondays?
Well, from certain levels, thank you very much. From certain levels that I have interfaced with solutions for insecurity, I have seen that there is a triangle of purpose. The triangle of purpose means that you have security, you have insecurity, and you have show of force. Now, if you want to attack insecurity situations with show of force, that means you are reacting. If you want to react, that means you are coming out to use violence against violence. But what Nigeria really needs right now, especially with this kind of request for secessioning and to get your own country, go get out of the country called Nigeria. Now, what we need is to impute security measures, and security measures are proactive. Security measures are supposed to see ahead and create opportunities to deter and to delay. Now, when you delay and deter, you will have opportunity to apprehend certain people we call culprits or suspects. Now, those people that you get as culprits or suspects, they will be identified by another certain level of people called victims. And those level of people called victims and the culprits, the security agencies will be able to harness a lot of evidence. These victims, culprits, and evidence will be taken to a criminal justice system. That is another area where Nigeria has been handicapped. There needs to be a criminal justice system to impute punitive measures for crimes like arson, murder, and public disturbance, which is aligned with all of these things that you do at the sister home. Now, when you can penetrate this criminal justice system into the crimes being committed, then you start to assign and align penalties. Once you begin to give penalties, you will see that you are creating a deterrence. That's one. Two, you will now create confidence for the security agencies to be able to go ahead to bring more people to you, the judicial system, to say these are more of them, penalize them. And as you are doing that, pari passu, the same time, you are also discussing with the problem. You are calling medical doctors from the East, you are calling professors from the East, and starting a discussion. Why you are taking the criminal elements out and putting them towards a judicial system. And make sure when you are doing that, you are doing it in the North, in the South, in the East, and everywhere, so that it will also seem as if you are selective in your judicial process. Now, when you can have that done, those that are intending to get into the criminal act of saying sit at home or we kill you or we do this, we see punitive measures going on, and they will see an alternative to their problem being taken place by the discussions going on. So you begin to have a balance in those directions.
I'm still going to stay on this question, but what does it say when the fear of attack as pushed by whether ESN or IPOB or whoever within that region overrides institutional assurances for safety? What does that mean from the security?
Thank you. I'm supposed to mention that in that her question. You see, assurances must come from the intelligence and professionalism of an agency. You don't come and give me assurance on TV or on social media to say the police are sending 2,000 policemen. We are going to rout, we are going... No. We want to see you. As we are in the East, we are waking up. We are seeing people being packed out from one house into a vehicle with proper intelligence and evidence that they are criminals. Because we, the citizens, those that are sitting at home in Anambra, in Enugu, everywhere, the Akara woman, the woman selling upa, the woman selling palm wine, all the people that are low-key, that are suffering this now, are the ones that are my concern. You know, the vulcanizer by the road that can't walk, he can't feed his family. Now, if they see you, they didn't tell you anything, they don't know where you got the information, they just see you packing these guys out. Maybe you go to a club and you just pick like 5 or 6 people that are really violent quotient in the ongoing crisis in the East. Not just go and pick people that are innocent. Now they see this action, they see them on TV being paraded, they see them in court being sentenced with evidence. I tell you, the people will begin to warm up towards the agencies. Look at what is happening in NDLA. Did you see them coming out to say, we want to do this, we want to do? You just hear that a house is busted and a factory is busted. Someone was arrested at the airport that swallowed a lot of, that is what we see. So because of that, we begin to warm up towards them and we are able to give them some information. So if the police, the DSS, begin to take this action and the judiciary collaborates their action by imputing penalties and normal processes of judicial system, within a week or 2, we don't want cases that will be flying like Evans the kidnapper or Madume and all those long-term cases. We want a week or 2 closures and you put a penalty. Then I assure you the people will have trust and the agency personnel will have confidence and the system will begin to get stable.
But Mr. Roy, leaders of the Southeast would say that it is beyond, not in exact words now, beyond the administration of criminal justice system but more to do with the continuing detention of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and that once he's released, the Southeast will experience peace. I'd like you to speak to that.
Okay, I am an agitator. Okay, I have started agitation for the military veterans for a long time. We have sealed up Ministry of Defense, we have sealed up Ministry of Finance, we have done carrot and stick approach, we have written letters, we have held meetings. We are still on the matter, okay, because veterans are dying every day, so it's grieving. Okay, so if I am Nnamdi Kanu right now, I will be happy that I am achieving results. Why are you achieving results? You are drawing attention. Your plan is not to become a hero. Your plan is to make the case a hero. So you are already drawing attention globally to the case. You are already in the midst of the government to be able to state your grievances in their presence continuously, and you are already being taken towards to the court rooms where your lawyers can present your case, so, and they are protecting you. So he is achieving 150% already of what he started. But when it becomes personal, that is where you begin to miss it, And when the people outside start to use your name to cause more mayhem and kill and maim and burn, it becomes a misnomer in the course of achieving your aims and objectives. Because being in detention is already an opportunity for you to interface with government, so everybody should have sheathed their sword, hold ground while you finish that interface and that discussion.
There's a lot to discuss and explore, because the end of the conversation, or the purpose of the conversation at the end of the day, is to make sure that the people go back to their businesses, especially the class of people you mentioned, the market woman on the street and the man who is doing business by the roadside. But we must thank you so much for your insight. Omen Roy Okideve is the CEO of August Eye and a security expert. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Yeah.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we're still staying with the issue of the Southeast. Sit at home, but this time we're shifting gears from security to the economy, how it's impacting the businesses in that area. Join us again.
Welcome back. And so we're staying with the concern over the continuing sit-at-home order in Nigeria's southeast region. We're moving from security now to the economic implications, with a bid to humanizing the consequences of this continuing sit-at-home order. So joining us to have this conversation on this particular segment, we have Mr. Ijom Ezeaso, who is a business, trade, and policy analyst who joins us from Anambra State. And we will also be having joining us later on Mr. Austin Manuel, who's the chairman, Nnewi Importers Association in Anambra State. But let's start with Mr. Ezia. So thank you so much for joining us on the program. Let's start with, what the sit-at-home order was like in the month of December. I'd like you to speak to that. And also we would hear that, some would say that, this sit-at-home order is only effective in Abia, in Imo, and in Anambra, but that you don't find it in other parts of the Southeast. I'd like you to speak to that as well.
Thank you very much, Bukola and Jeffrey. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak out on what is happening in the Southeast region concerning the economy. First of all, the economy of the Southeast has been greatly impacted by the sit-at-home orders. The one that is mostly talked about is the one that happens every Monday. But in between months, sometimes we have sit-at-homes that starts as rumors within other days of the week that occurs. Those ones are much more destructive. However, because of the seasonal activities this December, the sit-at-home order has not been that effective as it used to be. As manufacturers and traders and investors in the Southeast, it has hugely impacted the way we do business. Our supply chain has been hugely disrupted. We have work absenteeism, where you cannot even blame the workers, because it starts as a rumor that there will be a sit-at-home, and in the morning the workers will not turn up. There has been several business closures and loss of customers. So the sit-at-home order in the Southeast for this past years has greatly affected the way we do things around here. This festive period, we usually look forward to it, because that is when the Southeast does its greatest activities in terms of trade and supply of goods and services. We've had the experience of now some of the activities that are supposed to be held in the Southeast, like the Ibanko and even funerals, being held outside the Southeast. And this is the ecosystem that carries or brings about the businesses we engage in. But even if it's as small as the bottled waters we produce in the Southeast are consumed when these activities go on. So to a large extent, it has affected us, and hopefully we pray that the next year that the sit-at-home order and the response to it will gradually wind down. Thank you very much.
I know you're a business, trade, and policy analyst, so I will stretch you a little bit to ask for maybe data. You know, data speaks volume. It helps us to contextualize. We can say, oh, businesses have been affected, and all of these things we say, and we agree. There's no doubt that businesses have been affected. But if we put naira and kobo around it, in your estimation, averagely, how much does it cost the Southeast for this forceful exercise by IPOB or ESN, if you will?
Unfortunately, there is no aggregate data that can be said to be trusted, because this comes across several sectors and several states. Obviously, it runs in trillions. What we have lost. But to say that there has been a concerted effort to aggregate this data, there hasn't been. The markets are shut down across the Southeast every Monday. The banks are shut down. It's only places in Enugu where you have skeletal activities from the bank starting from around 10 a.m. The manufacturing angle, the workers don't turn up on Monday. You then not because of fear, even start your machines on Monday to attract noise. So there is none in terms of aggregate data, but we know that it runs in trillions. Every Monday, the Southeast loses a lot, and at least that should also concern the government about what is going on. So I will not be the one to say, oh, this is how much we lose as a country every Monday within the Southeast, because there is no such data that is aggregated based particularly by government or by anyone in the organized private sector.
All right, I'm going to come to Mr. Manuel now, who has since joined us. Mr. Austin Manuel, who's the chairman, Nnewi Importers Association, who also joins us from Anambra State. I'd like you to speak to the same concern about, whether or not it is only restricted to states like Anambra, Imo, and Enugu, and you do not find it in the other parts of the southeast. And perhaps also you also want to talk to us about why the efforts of the subnationals to encourage, the state governors now, to encourage the traders to come out is not seem to be working. Why do they not have confidence in the security infrastructure of the states? Mr. Manuel, that is for you. Okay, so let's return to Mrs. Ezeaso. Thank you for continued patience. Jeffrey's question is quite instructive, but if we're not able to get a general sense of the data of the economic implication or the economic loss to the southeast, I'd like you to talk to us about the cost for you personally as a business person, how much do you lose every time that there's a Monday sit-at-home order?
For me, because of the nature of business I do, I'm involved in manufacturing. I'm also involved in farm activities and the rest. Let me give you, for example, every Monday, because I consult for a lot of businesses too. Every Monday we have farms that a farm that harvests DOC chicken in the southeast. And when the Mondays the day-old chickens are harvested, we find it difficult to find the customers to pick up these DOC chickens on Monday. Maybe within the states, the chickens can move around, but the ones that are destined beyond the state capital in Enugu, we find it difficult. So, and for you to hold on to this day-old chicken for the day, on Tuesday, it costs a lot of money in terms of the storage, in terms of feeding the chicken, in terms of having workers to also stay. You have to have workers in-house for them to feed them. So it runs in millions, and it depends on the particular business. There are businesses that I'm involved in that also have to run 24 hours. I'm also involved in a TV station in Enugu, Afia TV. So you have to have the workers that work on Monday stay in-house on Sunday. You feed them for the production to continue on Monday. So it depends on the particular sector you're talking about. Well, it's not been easy for us. It's not been easy. It's not been easy for our employees. In fact, it's the way we've been able to manage what is going on was based on our experience during the lockdown during COVID. So we were able to take some of the experiences during lockdown, or most of the things we had in-house when we had to quarter workers in-house. Those are the things, the items, and also the procedures we've been using to manage the sit-at-home, to have our workers stay with us on Sundays as against Mondays.
All right, let's take it to Mr. Austin Manuel, who is the chairman, Newi Importers Association. Mr. Austin, I want to be sure you can hear me. Can you hear us? Mr. Austin, can you hear us? Oh dear. All right, Mr. Jama, it looks like you hold the fort and do the heavy lifting all by yourself today. So stay with the conversation.
Yeah.
Why don't, well, let me take it personal. For instance, the governor comes, the governor of Anambra State. I've seen him come around, at least we watch on TV, at least I know of Anambra and Enugu, for instance, who have come around to say, guys, go out there, do your business, you're secured, you're safe, and all the things they say. But you've said now that you have to keep your workers in-house from Sunday to work on Monday. What is it that you see that doesn't give you the confidence that, look, government can really protect us?
In all fairness to the Southeast governors, they have done their own. They do the shows, they make us, they go around on Mondays to give us the confidence. In Enugu, every junction, you have the military presence, you have the armored vehicles, parked, and the rest. However, the issue is not just about the state capitals. After the confines of the state capital, the peripheries are affected. The banks do not have the confidence to open, especially in the morning. And in Enugu, you have skeletal activities after 10 a.m. They start opening up. Apart from Oka, where you have people that move around, once it gets to Newi or Nisha, you hardly have people have the confidence to come out. If your workers tell you that they don't have the confidence to be on the road in the morning, there's nothing you can do about it. And also, it has a lot to do also with the transport situation, public transportation. If the keke drivers are not on the road, your workers cannot come to work. Sometimes we've also had bosses go around and pick up the workers. You have some resistance from their family members who tell them, look, if you die in this work, nobody's going to do anything about you. Then for the markets in particular, the markets have resisted severally in opening. And I don't blame them, because if anything happens, it will be called force majeure. They would definitely not get much even from insurance if you insure the whole market. And you know, there is a lot of mischief going on. No, people don't even want to give that opportunity for mischief makers to have the opportunity to pounce on your business. Definitely there is a lot of criminal activities going on. Not all could be ascribed to the agitation. So people do not have that confidence to open themselves up for mischief makers to take the opportunity to run down their businesses. So actually the governors are doing their lot in the state capitals, but after the state capitals, there is complete loss of confidence by both workers and employers of labor.
All right. Mr. Manuel seems to have joined us now. Mr. Manuel, confirm that you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Finally, and thankfully. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. You just go ahead and, respond to some of the things that Mrs. Ezeaso has said, particularly about, the lack of confidence in the efforts of the subnationals to ensure security during that Monday sit-at-home order. And perhaps you want to tell us exactly what happens that, creates room for that lack of confidence. Is it that there are no security operatives on ground in those central business districts in those states? Mr. Manuel.
Okay, compliment of the citizen. What actually is the problem in the Southeast here as regards to our businesses and the sit-at-home order? And the issue is that the government will not be able to tackle the issue. They have been trying to open the business for Mondays. Most markets are open. Their doors, their gates are open on Monday. But the confidence is not there because those who tried to come out before now, we are killed. Do you understand? So that's, when you said you are enforcing sit at home, there is no security on ground for people to see. You have confidence in them that we're protected. So it calls for worry. You just don't announce on television that the sit-at-home order is suspended. Every business people should go about their business on the day. And on that Monday, there is no security to protect the public. So the confidence is not there. And then if I'm allowed to say, what is the root cause of this problem? What is the root cause? Before now, Southeast is the most safest place in this country, going by record. It is after the arrest of Nanda this whole thing started. I don't know why government did not understand this. Or what are they enjoying in the security in the Southeast? Before now, Southeast is the most safest. It's where you will stay and you feel at home. Businesses and everything is going before this young man was arrested. And the people who are doing this thing, when the security agents get them, they will keep saying, we are agitating for the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu. In whatever way or they disguise themselves in doing this thing, they hide under the umbrella that Nnamdi Kanu is being held. And when you look at the agitation, why would the young man still being held? If these people who are causing this man in Southeast are saying it is because of Nnamdi Kanu, they release the man, let's see where they will hide again. Why are we running roundabout on the issue? How are they going to do it? When with this insecurity stuff? But we know the fundamental thing. This young man is being held, and once it's released, everywhere will be relatively calm. So I don't know the politicians are doing with it. And so that's why we are losing a lot. We are losing a lot apart from that Monday, the insecurity of the day. Nobody can guarantee that when you go out, you come home safely. In Southeast today, no state in Southeast is safe. Quote me, no state. So, and all these guys hide under the umbrella that Nnamdi Kanu is being detained. Once it's released, we'll stop all this agitation. And when you look at it logically, other people who are agitating in other regions, like Sodubo, who we saw with gun, with machete, with everything, is he not busy moving around? Somebody who now hide under a radio station and be making noise or something like that, Nigeria did not sleep until he was catched. So what are we saying? So let them help us. Release the man, let us be free. Let us stop wasting our time on this issue of insecurity. They say if this guy is released, we will not see everything. The whole place will be calm.
Mr. Alston, do you believe, Mr. Alston, so I know you said it, but let me put the question again to you. Do you believe that the release of Nnamdi Kanu will bring peace to the Southeast region, given how it has escalated to where it is?
It will solve 80% of the problem, because as the security agents, as the DSS, as the police, as the army, when they catch the boys, what are they telling them is the reason, Nnamdi Kanu, that they cannot rest until it's released. So why are we wasting our time? A simple thing government can solve, they are playing politics with it. So that's the problem.
So, Mr. Alston, are you saying that 20% is ascribed to mere criminal activity that has nothing to do with the agitation?
Which even in America, you will see criminal activities. Even 10%, there's no way you can wipe away criminal activities. But the greater percentage of it who have testified to police agencies is that because Nnamdi Kanu is being held. And they can't stop. That's what they're telling them.
So what has the agitation got to do with Mr. Simon Ekpa's arrest? So what has it got to do with Mr. Simon Ekpa, and why has his arrest not, brought a significant amount of peace or stability to the region?
Simon Ekpa is nobody to the issue. These are people who are agitating for Nnamdi Kanu. The center point there is Nnamdi Kanu. The center point there is Nnamdi Kanu. Every other irregularities are keyed to the young man who is being detained till now. So let me tell you, if this government decided to solve this problem now, they will just release the man and Southeast will be calm. But they won't. They are enjoying the game. They want to see where money will be siphoning and all those things. That's the way I look at it. So if I'm the president or if I'm the governor,
are you saying by implication that there is something the government will be gaining from the instability in the South? Is that what you're saying?
Of course. Is it not money that will be used to acquire all this stuff? All the equipment that will be, all the budget of money that's being allocated to it, is it not money? So yeah, they will be enjoying themselves now.
All right, let's come back. Let's stay with the business part of it. You're the chairman of Nnewi Importers Association, so you're core and deep in business as far as the business. And Nnewi, for instance, is the industrial hub of the Southeast. Tell us how impacted this sit-at-home has affected the people there and the businesses.
Gentlemen, if you are on a sit-at-home, you will cry for this election. All the factories will be shut down. Remember, not only that these factories are shut down, they are paying their workers, whether they come to work or not. Very, very, very sympathetic, very painful. All the factories in Nnewi, just as you mentioned that Nnewi is the hub of the industry in Nigeria. Every month they come to Nnewi or come to Anambra State, everywhere is locked because of these boys agitators. So it is affecting us seriously. Market will not open. Now, we trade from Tuesday to Friday. How many days? Just 5 days. Somebody that is owing bank, you will pay. Somebody that borrowed from any other agency, you will pay. Your interest charge is running. That's why you see a lot of people dying. High blood pressure here and there. So it can't be quantified. There is no way we will speak about the damage and it will be enough. How can a multi-billion naira factory close down on the beginning of a week, Monday? because there is no security.
So is there any difference? Mr. Austin, is there any difference now that we have this Christmas period? Because today is Monday, for instance. Is there a sit at home today?
No difference. The sit at home is still today, as I'm talking to you.
All right, let's take it back to Mrs. Ezia. So I imagine that you've been listening to Mr. Ifeanyi, Mr. Austin, and you have quite a lot to, say about what some of the things that he has said. I'd like you to speak specifically to his own categorical submission that this has a lot, 80% to do with the continued, detention and trial of Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, and if indeed he is released tomorrow, that there will be stability in the Southeast, and that has, a lot of us doing a double take, because IPOB has said time and again amid this that it is not responsible for the, Monday sit-at-home order in the Southeast.
Well, to an extent, I agree with him, because the sit-at-home order started with IPOB asking people to commemorate Biafra Day. That was the initial stage that this thing started. And there was some kind of compliance as a memorial. Then on Nnamdi Kanu's detention became not something that was voluntary. It became a mandatory order. So there is, to a large extent, the issue of Nnamdi Kanu's case being part of the issue of sit-at-home order. Initially, when IPOB calls for it was voluntary. Then we saw it now transmit to a compulsory thing. And when 2 or 3 people have lost their lives on a Monday, activities, you go to markets and there is a stampede, not because anything happened, there is a rumor and people start running. That was how the Southeast shut down on Mondays. And like I said before, there are days outside Mondays when we wake up in the morning, we start hearing rumors that, they said maybe on this particular day, so and so will happen. Even schools shut down because nobody wants any people to be trapped in their school. So to a large extent, there is some political solution to this. To a large extent too, there is the intelligence aspect of it, because I'm expecting a lot to be done by the intelligence officers to understand the dynamics of what is going on, and to understand that there has been several fronts and going on about this thing. Several groups have emerged. Several people are saying, this is why we are angry. But to a large extent, what Mr. Austin said is correct. I'm currently now at Nnewi. Nnewi is completely shut down. I live in Enugu, but I also am involved in commercial industrial activities in Nnewi. The 2 factories where I'm involved are shut down every Monday. We pay taxes, not considering whether we work on Monday or not. Our interest rates doesn't stop when it comes on Mondays. In fact, for banking activities, sometimes when you have the transactions that will spoil things if it's not done on Monday, what you have to do is to call your account officer, maybe to call somebody else at Asaba, or account officer to move from Onitsha and sleep over at Asaba and conduct your transactions on your behalf. So if the government really wants to help the Southeast, because whatever is happening in the Southeast is not a Southeast issue alone. It affects South-South. It affects some parts of North Central. It affects international trade. Once the bridge at Onitsha is shut down, you've shut out most of South-South. You've shut out most of North Central. We used to have traders coming all the way from Cameroon to shop either at Nnewi or at Onitsha. The sit-at-home order is also affecting them. So the Nigerian government needs to understand that this is not a regional issue. Nigeria is bleeding in terms of revenue. Nigeria is bleeding in terms of work. You can imagine the number of jobs and opportunities we create at Nnewi, and every Monday we are shut down. Then there is a problem. We are talking about food security. The sit-at-home order greatly affects food security. People don't understand that the Southeast is involved in a lot in terms of food production. Yes, most of the raw production are done in the North, but we are the consumers of the raw materials.
All right.
If you are in Onitsha or Nnewi when our raw materials coming from the North, you'll understand the problem that is at hand. Every Sunday, maybe the truck stop over at Benue or they stop at Asaba, waiting for the Monday sit-at-home to go to elapse so that they start bringing in things on Tuesday. And this affects also the lifespan of the raw materials that we receive in our factories.
Very, very vivid image that you paint there. And, we hope that the representatives of the subnationals are listening by proxy, and something will be done about it. And perhaps, there can be projections about, the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in the coming year, if we went by the words of the minister, the new Minister of Foreign Affairs. We'd like to thank you so much, gentleman and lady, for joining us. We've been talking with Mrs. Ijoma Ezeaso, a business trade and policy analyst who joined us from Anambra State. We've also had Mr. Austin Manuel, Chairman, Nnewi Importers Association, who also joined us from Anambra State. Thank you so much, gentleman and lady, for your time on the program. And so from here, we'll be talking with another entrepreneur and looking at her success story in the field that she has chosen. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. And so we're celebrating women entrepreneurs, as Jeffrey said, on Mondays. And we're celebrating a particular woman who is in the hair field. So joining us on this segment, we have Shade Adebanjo. She's the CEO, Shadash Hair, and Fola Atelier, CEO, Folara. Did I get everything correctly?
CEO.
Folara.
Shadash Hair.
Shadash Hair. Oh, okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So when it comes to, and you come with a lot of hair, by the way. Yes. When it comes to hair, there's a whole lot, to talk about. Some would say there's a historical perspective, there is a social and the business aspect. Definitely. But let's focus on you first of all. And I'd like you to talk to us about your own area of specialty in hair business. Yeah.
Okay, my name is Fola Shade again. My own area of specialty in hair industry is, although it's more of sales, sales of wigs, installation, and other fashion accessories to comprehend the hairs. So talking about hair industry, everyone knows that it's a lucrative business already. It's a lucrative business, and I started the brand 2011 with just the sales of bundle, but over the years we moved from bundle to wearing a wig. We realized that we don't have to sit at any salon for 5 hours, 3 hours to get ourselves made up and all. So technology advancement, we moved into wigs. So I went into the training, I learned how to make wigs, and that was how it got started. And since then, it's been awesome.
I like the way you're smiling. You're smiling because there's a lot of me. I have personal questions because my wife buys it. First question, why the hair? Why are they so expensive?
Yes, they are expensive.
They're too expensive.
But sincerely, they are in grades. Sincerely, I tell you, every woman can afford a hair. Depends on which you want to go for. You don't necessarily have to break your bank because you want to rock a good hair. That I don't accept. Like my brand, we sell different grades of hair. If you want a hair of 100,000 naira, you can get it in my place. And they can still last you for a very long time. Likewise, if you want to get a hair of 3 million, you can get it.
And that's where I'm headed.
Yes.
Because I just saw a video. I saw Vicky James. She bought hair of 7 million naira. That is small motor moving around on somebody's head.
Of course, absolutely. So why is it that expensive?
No, like I said
earlier. Is it the dollar? So some people are quoting the exchange rate.
Like, the exchange rates contributed actually, but it's in grades. Like we call some hair donor hair, single donor hair. Those ones are very expensive. You know, it's like, as you heard now, selling off your hair. And it's not going to be mixed. Like when we go to the last time I went to Vietnam, I learned a lot about, like there was some question we also could not answer ourselves. Like, why is this expensive? What are they made of? So I had to go on the business trip to even go and see why those hairs are quite expensive.
Or is it because you put too much profit?
No, it's not about profit. I can tell you categorically, you cannot sell hair times 2. Categorically. Maybe, let me talk about
what you
myself.
mean is that you can't double the price
you can't
of
double
a particular
the price.
hair.
So let's contextualize. So if you buy, because this hair matter is a serious matter. Hair is also part. The reason I'm first, these expenses.
Jeffrey, how much of your money is going to?
Oh, yes. Second is the fact. Second is the fact that it's also adds maybe some level of pressure on our FX, because anything that women buy sells out. Anyway, let's not go there. So, are you saying now that if you sell hair, say 3 million naira, as I'm calling the money, just give me one kind. Let me speak PJ. So if you sell hair 3 million, you would have bought it for maybe 2 million or so. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sincerely. Because the donor hairs are very expensive. Imagine going to Vietnam, they get some donor. You pay those donor. You pay them. They sell the hair to you depending on the quality of their hair. Some of them, their hairs are virgin. Some of them already palm their hair, like it's already processed. They call it processed hair. Some of them already retouch their hair. Some of them keep their hair. The donors also have different grades of hair. Just like in Nigeria now, some people have, we call it stubborn hair. Some people have a very soft texture and all that. While some people keep their natural hair without palming, without retouching it for a long time and all, those are things that we still pay for. Like when you go to Vietnam or any hair-based country to buy hair, getting the donor alone, they pay them. They pay them by the volume of their hair, by the length of their hair.
Okay, so
imagine how many dollars you'll be using to get.
Mr. Adebanjo, for those who do not understand,
I'm Mr. Adebanjo is my middle name.
Okay. For those who don't understand what you're saying, what you mean by donor hair, I think you may need to explain to them so that they know the kind of hair that they eventually wear when the hair gets to Africa.
Okay, hair is in categories, like I said. The donor hair are the real human hair. Without going through any process at all.
From the Caucasian?
Yes. Like you go to the factory, they bring people to you to sell off their hair. Like you will cut it by yourself.
So it is cut from the original owner?
From the original owner. Then you take it to the factory, they process it, they sew it as bundle for you. Like one donor cannot make a full hair that we buy hair. Like because Nigeria likes full hair. You know how their hairs are. Like Vietnamese now, their hair is so silky. Like maybe all what somebody will have on their hair might not be more than this. And this is just one part of my hair.
And Nigerians
then we need like volume. 300 grams.
Or density.
Yes, we like volume. We like our hair very full. I had to put this back because of the mic. So do you understand? So imagine getting hair from like 3 to 4 donors to make just one head. That makes the price.
Okay, so Because some would say that we have been held spellbound by the West, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. We derive our validation from wearing the hair that they have sold to us and not our own original natural woolly hair. What can we do about that such that we retain some of the profit at home? And I'd like you to speak to the benefit of your experience as someone who has traveled to see how it is done. What is the potential of at least manufacturing or processing hair such that the hair can be a little less expensive?
Yes. Like there are some hairs that will manufacture hair. Sincerely, there are a lot of people that are based on that. There was a time, I think my brand really thrived on the local marketing, the local sourcing, like the braided wigs. They are made here in Africa. We make braided wigs here, and we export everywhere in the world. It's not necessarily you don't have to always import. Sincerely, like I can tell you categorically that there are over 200 factories in Nigeria now that are into hair. You can buy from them, process them here, and send out.
All right.
Then the braided wig aspect, the Ghana weaving, the all back, the braids, it's everywhere now. We make them here in Nigeria. All you need to buy is the attachment that is made expression, and they are here.
But some will say for those ones that they don't look natural on your head.
No, it's a lie. Everybody have a natural braided wig now. There are days you want to look natural. You want to look like the African woman that you are. You wear your braided wig and you're still looking.
So you disagree that
good.
Unless it is made on your hair, it doesn't look natural on you when you wear the braided version?
It is natural. I can tell you, if I wear a braided wig here, you would not know. Depending on the quality you are getting. Like I said, everything depending on the finishing, the one you're getting. But my braided wig, I sold a lot. Like I was almost going to having a factory of braiders. Like I had a lot of braiders that I pay. I will make them here.
Hope you're paying your taxes to Lagos State.
So we're missing a lot by not investing in that business.
When FIRS showed me Shege, I paid.
So
I did.
There's one other thing that women carry that I want to know why it's so expensive, because I don't know what it is. This one at the center, that small one, what's it called?
That's closure.
Why is that thing expensive?
It is handmade.
That thing is
we make it in Nigeria now.
I don't understand.
Do you know you can make your closure in Nigeria? We call it ventilation.
You're wearing closure, right?
I'm wearing a frontal, actually.
A frontal closure.
This is frontal.
Frontal
is the one head to head. You can have it all back. You can have it styled anyhow. I can decide to pack this here now. It makes it look more natural. But the one on you is closure. We have different kind of closure. It could be 2x4, 2x6. The long length is 2x6. The shorter one 2x4. There are some wide ones too. So those ones are handmade. Imagine somebody sitting. They are nets. If you look at the inside, you see that it's nets.
There's nets.
And it is hand ventilation. Like all those holes, they fill it with air. It could take somebody 2 days to get it done. It's not something that any machine cannot do a closure for. It is handmade. So imagine how many people, how much anybody would charge to get that done. So that's why it's expensive.
On a final note, now you're making me feel like, I'm missing something by not being a hair seller.
You can add it. You can add it.
In 1 minute, 60 seconds, what does it take to start a business for somebody watching you and is inspired and is like, I want to be like Shadash Hair and have my own brand eventually? 60 seconds.
Okay, it takes a lot of resilience. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of hard work. That I must lay emphasis on. And it takes, I've already mentioned focus. It takes resilience, it takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of paying attention into details, and it takes capital too.
All right. Thank you so much. I have so many more questions for you, and I imagine a lot of ladies to have more, but maybe we'll bring you back on the program.
Women's things.
Yes, so we've been talking with Mrs. Folashade Adegbenga. Yes, she's the CEO, Shadash Hair, who's making giant strides in the hair business. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you too.
Yeah. So when we return from this break, we'll be moving from hair to music. Stay with us. You don't want to miss the segment. We'll be right back.
Anytime you call me, I'll be down. I'll be down. Because I love and I love and I love and love you only. Because I need and I need and I need and I need you more. Yeah, you know I run and I run and I run and I run. Fly in the sky every night. Hold me in your arms and your love me light. I'm on your wave right now. I'm on your wave right now. Yeah. I'm on your side now. You got me on your side now. Yeah, I'm on your wave right now.
We're starting off differently on this particular segment. Of course, you can see the man himself, Babajide Ajanako, also known as Vibemaster JG, Boston-based DJ. He said he came to Nigeria to connect with the industry. Thank you so much for coming on the program, man. Thank you so much. How have you been?
Congratulations the season to you guys, and thank you for having me on your show this morning.
Absolutely. So we're going to get to the music in a moment. And I like the fact that we're trying to wrap up the year like it's December the 30th, so it's one more day to the end of 2024.
Right.
But walk us through what you are doing in Boston.
So basically what I'm doing in Boston is I'm connecting Africa to the world through Boston. Now we say Afrobeats to the world, and now the world has accepted our music, right, and our culture through music. So we're spreading our culture to the world through music. So in Boston, what I do is I spread the African music, not just Nigerian music, but music from different parts of Africa to the world. So they don't just know just the popular songs. Now they know every type of African music, and they also know that African music is very diverse. We have over 100 genres, not just Afrobeats or the one that they are used to seeing on, top tens and all that. So my job is to spread the culture through the sound of music, which is actually the harmonica for I, announce my show every Saturday morning.
I like that sound of music. How long have you been in Boston?
I've been in Boston for about 7 years. It's going to be 7 years in January. I left in 2017, so it's going to be, that's almost 8 years actually that I've been in Boston.
And I thought that we're leaving the hair conversation, but it seems that we're not leaving it actually.
not anytime soon.
Because I can see that you have great hair.
Thank you very much.
Giving me inspiration for my next hairstyle from this point. But many would not know that you were born in Surulere, right?
Yeah, I was born in
Surulere. And music is not your first choice of study. You are a graduate of business management, am I correct?
Yeah.
From an institution in Massachusetts as well, Boston.
Marymount College.
Fantastic. So what's the connection? Why DJ?
So when I was in college, when I was in my second year, I got to this point where I was like, okay, I'm going to get out of school, I'm going to work, but what do I want to do in my life? Am I a 9-to-5 person, or do I need to figure out what it is that I love to do? Because what I discovered at some point in my life is that I don't just want to work, I want to do what I love to do, that I'm passionate about, so that I come home every day happy, not coming home like feeling like, okay, I'm being forced, and I'm not just doing it because of money. So during my internship in my third year, one of the guys I was working with was like, oh, I see you really love music, you like downloading music, have you ever tried this software? So I said, oh, okay, it's actually DJ software, it's called Virtual DJ. It's one of the first set of softwares that I started using for DJ before it was hardware. So I said, okay, let me try it out. So I tried it out and I loved it. And, at that point I was like, okay, I think I've figured out what I want to do, because I've always been a music person. I can't sing, I could play side instruments, but I have like this technical ears for music. Like I can hear good music, I know good music, I can describe good music. So I'm like, okay, I think I have a line. And then DJing part made it clearer for me that this is the path I wanted to go through. So, and African parents will never let you say you're going to music school. So when I wanted to do my master's and I told my dad that, oh, this is what I want to do, he said, you're not using my money to go and study music. He actually said this way, you're not going to go use my money to study music and start carrying speaker up and down. It's a mindset.
Okay, there's a lot about your story, but I think people want to enjoy your performance. Right. So, what will you be doing? Let's get to it straight up. All right, I'm going to play some, popular Nigerian music that I play on my radio show.
Get Jeffrey to dance.
Let's see. No, I'm also a retired dancer. I retired in a lot of creatives. I stick to what I do. Anyway, so let's have like 2-3 minutes of your performance.
All right, thank you very much.
Just getting started, right? On a Monday.
I'm sure I'll get to know it.
That's how you dance this one. Like you're stepping away.
They do this one too. The shoulder walk and the leg walk.
Monday edition of 30 December live on TV.
Alright, setting you into the mood for the new year.
Yeah.
Many are planning to dance your way into the new year. So why not start practicing from the morning brief right here on Channels Television, courtesy DJ.
Well, you're not dancing now.
I'm trying. Vibemaster JD, yeah.
I wish I had more steps. Every day some okay. Well, you can dance. Why are you not dancing? Vibemaster JD. I know you're playing, but what's the meaning of JD? GD. Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
Vibemaster JD. I can see that you're in your element. This is the second home for you, right?
Yeah, this is best for me.
I don't think you'll do anything else apart from DJing.
Oh boy.
So, as we wind down now.
I want to thank you so much. But I have a question for you.
Yeah, I do.
Just one question
I can
for you.
see that what you're doing is really catching on in Boston, United States of America, with so many nationalities coming together, forming dance clubs of Afrobeat. What they do, whenever they come together is dance to Afrobeat music.
Right.
This is courtesy of what you're doing, right? I'd like you to speak to that.
Can you phrase the question again? Because I think I skipped the question while I was...
Yeah, we see that, many nationalities, not just Nigerians, now are coming together and forming dance clubs of Afrobeat. And you can see them doing all the leg work, of Afrobeat type of dance. So I'd like you to speak to that. The impact of what you're doing.
In 20 seconds, that's all we have.
So our culture is actually, music is part of our culture as Africans, and we are very jolly people. Our music is very melodious. So dance also helps to express people. It's actually like a therapy. So psychologically, those dances that they see catches people's attention, and with that they are able to enjoy and want to try it out, and with that they get addicted to our music, and
Okay, we're going to keep trying it out. So, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Vibemaster JD.
Yeah.
Thank you. But his real name is Babajide Ajanaku. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, we got a party started for you earlier than you would have anticipated. Today is Monday, but we got the party locked down for you. 30 December continues in Lagos right here on the morning because the batch F, they've arrived, and they will soon be going back. So let's party them out of the show. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. Sunrise Daily is up next at the top of the hour. Bye-bye.
And we'll be back with the last edition of the show for the year, but certainly not for the week, tomorrow. And someone tells me that we have loaned the morning brief to Sunrise Daily and Channels Television. So stay with us. You'll see that after this time out.
Bye-bye.
Bye.